You can scour the internet and you will find thousands, maybe tens of thousands of rules for PowerPoint. And you know what? I've got some rules for PowerPoint too. I'm going to give you a number of particulars. But there's really only one rule that you need to know, and it pretty much solves all the other problems and all the other issues. Here's the rule. If you want to know if your slide works, simply test it. By that I mean, if you're giving a PowerPoint presentation to 40 colleagues or 40 people in your industry Thursday, find one or two colleagues, get them together at lunch, give them a free sandwich Tuesday. Give them your PowerPoint slide. Give them your whole presentation. Don't tell them what you're going to do in advance. Just give them your presentation. Show them your slides. When you're done, ask them every slide they remember and what was on the slide and what the messages were. Very simple test. Nobody ever does it, except for my clients. Here's what you'll find 99.99% of the time. Nobody's going to remember anything from your slides. It's not because they have bad memories. It's because your slides are awful. Again, don't take my word for it. Listen to your colleagues in your office. A slide is effective if people can remember it so they can get the idea and take actions. If they can't remember your slide, it is worthless. Throw it in the trash can, please. The world doesn't need more useless, worthless PowerPoint slides. So that's the big picture. Test. If your focus group remembers your slide, more important, remembers the idea, the message about the slide, then it works. And it may violate all the rules I'm going to tell you about it. If it meets that one, it's a success. It's a winner. Keep it. So again, show them all of your slides as a part of your presentation. Don't tell them you're going to test in advance, but after the fact, just say, tell me every slide you remember from my presentation and what ideas do you remember from the slide. On the one hand, it sounds so easy. On the other hand, most people fail miserably. Why? Because they put way too much stuff on each slide. They don't use the visual medium for maximum effectiveness. It's too abstract. It's a lot of words and bullet points and numbers and too much complexity. And they're intellectually lazy. They don't make the tough choices, and they just dump everything. So now let me give you the particular rules that will help you pass this one test. For starters, every single slide should have just one idea you're trying to convey. I know that sounds crazy to some of you because you're used to these rows, these columns, 7 bullet points, no more than 3 words per each. It doesn't work. You can do it that way if you like. But if you want to pass my simple test, will your audience remember it, understand it, and remember the idea? I'm telling you, focus on just one idea per slide. Back to the Steve Jobs example. When he wanted to unveil the iPhone, he had an iPod here, a phone here. That was on one slide, and then it merged together into an iPhone. One idea, and it just was 2 images that come together. Simple, easy to understand. I can visualize it now 10 years later, and you can remember it. You remember what you saw, you remember the idea associated with it. So that's what you need to focus on. So you can get into this whole debate with people of what's the proper number of bullet points, and some say it should be 5, and some say it should be 3, and some say 10. Test. In my professional opinion, and this is all I do, is presentation training and media training, it's a complete utter waste of time to put bullet points on a slide that you are projecting to people. You need to put pictures, images, a graph if it really focuses on just 2 variables in one relationship. So what's the proper number of bullet points? I would say 0. If you're going to have to put bullet points or you'll be fired, okay, put bullet points. The fewer the better, because people just aren't going to remember a lot of them. Fewer words, the better. Words are abstractions. Think of it this way. What's easier for you to remember? You go to a business conference, you meet someone, you exchange business cards, you bump into them 2 weeks later at the airport in another city. Are you more likely to remember their full name, title, organization they work for from their business card, or do you remember their face? That's right, you remember their face because your brain is more of an image processor than a word processor. That's why it's better to put images on a screen instead of words. Words are just abstractions made up of letters that are abstractions. Now, the next question I get is, what's the best number of slides? The best number of slides is the most slides you can use and get people to remember them after you've tested. I'd be very shocked if you could get people to remember more than a handful of slides. But don't let me try to handcuff you. Test it. There is no magic number 20 or it must be 10. It's utter nonsense. It's a good slide if and only if it's on your message. It makes your message more understandable and more memorable. That's what makes it a good slide. If you can accomplish all those things, put in 100 slides. But I doubt you're going to get people to remember it. If it's just more and more data, more and more stuff, here's what I would do with that. I would actually recommend you have 2 separate PowerPoint presentations. One that you're projecting to people that has 1 idea per slide, images, not text. A second PowerPoint slide that you email to people in advance, that you hand out, that you email after the fact, that you put on your website, that has lots and lots of text, the traditional PowerPoint with lots of data. If you try to make that PowerPoint the main one you show, you've already failed miserably. There's simply no way you're going to communicate. Now, you might not get fired, you might not lose your job because everyone else is doing a horrible PowerPoint like that, but don't kid yourself, it's not really communicating. So if you want to do a great job, you got to narrow your messages down to your top handful. You need an image to make the idea come alive that you project. If you have a lot of other facts, detailed numbers, data, put that in a separate PowerPoint that you give as a handout.